with us on Kakaaki, the African Voice. We will now be talking about a town hall meetings, of course a TV conference with the theme "The Streets to Parliament, Strengthening Women's Political Power in Nigeria." That town hall meeting is being organized by Dinidari Foundation in partnership with Rich Steve Tang. So we'll have the CEO of the Dinidari Foundation, Ndi Kato, joining us now to discuss what this is all about. Ndi, good morning. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Okay. So why has this town hall meeting become important to talk about women's participation in politics?
Well, we're getting towards 2023, and as usual, we would actually have an entire political season where women's voices, platforms that elevate women's voices, and participation of women's voices will not be at the forefront as it should be. And it's important that we start to set the conversation from the coming political season and even beyond. That look, women, why we even said streets to parliament is on the back of the LSAS protest, on the back of civil rights movements in human rights movements in Nigeria. Women have actually work, and this shows that look, this conversation about whether women are capable or they do not belong should not even come up. Our capacity, we've shown more than enough. Look at the banking sector everywhere, how good we are at handling things, and it's only right that women should have improved participation, improved and increased participation in politics. So this is to kickstart that conversation, is to ensure that look, women are given these platforms, women are able to participate perfectly as well as men do, that in terms of conversations around the polity, around issues around Nigeria, that women are involved as much as, because of course the visuals matter, seeing us talk about these things matter, seeing us participate matter, and this is what this conference is trying to do.
All right, beyond the conference, I want to find out from you how really the issues that will be thrown up in the conference will be mainstreamed into real-time activities or action plans that will make the aspirations that you have in this conference get to reality, specifically in terms of because I know when you're talking about participation, you're not just talking about queuing to vote, you're talking about women also being voted for, I suppose. How do you mainstream that into the political party and the arrangement we have right now in the country, which for a lot of people doesn't make it easy for women to aspire to those positions?
Well, I mean, I'm an example of how the political party system can actually prevent women's participation, because when I went to run for office, I was told right off the bat that we appreciate the work you're doing for your party, we see what you're doing for the community, but running for office, when you're not going to get the ticket, just stay in there, you might get a position if we win. And that was my stark reality. Going forward, one of the things we want to see and push for is also 35% affirmative action within political parties. And we're hoping that this conversation also starts to push that, right? From the grassroots level all the way to the National Working Committee, this is possible. This is why we're also bringing Iyom Josephine Aneni, because as PDP women leader, she actually pushed for increased number of women among the delegate system in PDP. So if this can be done by somebody, and since the time she pushed for that, not much improvement. So let's bring her to see where this conversation stops and how we can push it forward. It isn't impossible to have 35% of their schools from the grassroots level all the way to the national level in political parties to be women. And I think that this voting process matters. Putting women in these places, in these decision-making places from the grassroots level matters. We're also still considering the fact that the Minister of Women Affairs has pushed for an increase in women legislators. While that may be, parts where I would agree to is saying that, look, if we're putting more women in the legislative arm of government, we need to drastically drop the salaries of legislators, because the National Assembly already costs us too much. So that is one. Increasing women in the legislature by putting the quota system there, and also ensuring that we have 35% affirmative action in the political parties themselves. Of course, political parties are almost going to the polls, so it might look like that is going to their convention, so it might look like it is quite late, but you never know. We can try to see that within this.
All right, Ndi, we're having some hitches with the network, but we do hope it's clear and you can hear us. Now the electoral amendment
on ground.
Okay, you can hear us. The electoral amendment bill that is currently being talked about has jacked up financial engagement in electioneering process for the presidency, the National Assembly members, and the governorship positions. Do you think women you wield such financial power to compete favorably and be voted for as well, if that scales true?
That part of the electoral reform bill actually is a direct attack on the participation of women and youth. We do not have that money, especially in a system like Nigeria that is a patronage system. We don't have that money. What it is that at the end of the day, you have jacked these prices up. Many of you, it's like this current electoral reform bill is created by serving politicians, hoping to keep serving politicians in office. And the National Assembly is such a shame because their return rate is so low. So how are you voting for a bill that if you lose, you may not be able to come back, because we know how political money works? And this again, in keeping women and youth out, is that we don't have that network of money that these people who have cemented themselves in politics, cemented themselves in all parts of their economic activities in Nigeria have. We don't have it as women. Even women in high positions are trying to be careful because they feel like if they do too much, they will say, oh, they are sponsoring this, they are sponsoring that. So we don't have the same freedom or the networks to drum up that kind of money. And to also point, Nigeria is a poor country. It's a poor country. I don't know where any sane person will find the kind of money that they are putting for these places, if not that they are still trying to maintain a highly monetized system, a system that is so corrupt where once politicians spend money to enter office, once they enter office, they will spend time and Nigeria's resources trying to recuperate that money. Women do not have this money, and this is a direct attack on women's participation.
Yeah. All right. Ndi, you talked about mainstreaming it in one of the political parties as the PDP, but do you have the similar arrangement in other political parties as well? Because we have quite a number of them, although they are the frontline ones. Do you have arrangement to engage these persons as well, to see where you're coming from and also mainstream these policy frameworks in their party programs?
So thankfully, INEC has reduced the amount of work that we need to do by reducing the number of political parties. I think that was taken to court, and I don't know, they're still on that. But with respect to that, IRI has been doing quite a lot of work, and we have called on IRI and need to cement that relationship going forward on engaging political parties. In this conference, actually, the women leader of the All Progressive Congress, Honorable Stella Okotete, is going to be a part of this conference. We have a conversation with the youth wing also of the APC. Of course, these parties are all going to Congress. PDP already has a conversation going with IRI, and we're going to build on that. So these are the two main political parties. The other political parties, what we have seen going in terms of engagement is it's also quite easy to work with IPAC to bring these political parties together and start drumming up how you can influence. And for the smaller parties, it's actually quite easy. It's quite easy. You have the YPP, where the chairman of the YPP is always eager, always willing to engage, always willing to make these changes within his system. So the major problem we're going to have is two major political parties. And this is why we've actually brought key players from these political parties. But not just that, we're also bringing in people from civil society. We have Aisha Osorio for Osiwa, and these are people that can also influence this process, actually take up the time and resources from the organizations to influence this process. We're also hoping that this partnership with AIT would also help, that if we actually spotlight these activities, this would actually force the hands of the political party, because who wants to look bad at this time as we're moving forward? Who wants to? So let's see where this would go. And I'm grateful for these questions because it then points to the fact that we're not just talking. I think this is where questions are going, that we're not just talking. Beyond talk, there is action.
All right, Ndi, when is this conference holding? And then you also answer this question. Men have actually often accused women of being architects of their own misfortune, because even when elections come and you see women presenting themselves, not many women go behind them and vote for them. So how are you also trying to galvanize support from fellow women? Because women actually outnumber men in this country. And if every woman supports a woman, I don't think that woman will not make a headway.
So I get this question every time, but let me start from when the conference is holding. The conference is holding tomorrow, 20th of July, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on AIT. And with respect to this question, it's not just a straight line. It's not. Many women in Nigeria are disenfranchised. This is where women's rights and equal opportunities for women actually come in. So if you're looking at the voting bloc in northern Nigeria, for example, many parts of northern Nigeria, women are not allowed to go to school. Women do not have autonomy over themselves. And this is not even just northern Nigeria. Let me not limit it to that. We see the southeast, southwest. There are many parts of this country where women do not have autonomy. So when we're having conversations around women's rights, it's not for the sake of dominating. It's just that, look, even the basic being able to decide for herself, Nigerian women are not able to do that. So let's go back to the north, for example. You're looking at a huge voting population, and these women only are allowed to come out of their homes. Many of them, too many of them, are allowed to come out of their homes, line up. Let's look at girl-child education. You see, these things are all related. They're not educated. They cannot read. They cannot do anything for themselves. They put them on this line and point to where they should point their hands, and that's it. So when we're talking about women's participation, you have to remove that chunk of women who cannot make decisions for themselves and keep it in one side. Then we also look at the possibility of the female candidate. We just talked about money. Women do not have this money. Even if you're going to appeal to gender, appeal to the emotions of other people, you at least have to have the money to be able to go round, right? Many women don't have this money. When I was running for office, I realized quickly the folly of declaring early. Because once you declare, you have to start spending this money. And we accuse women of not declaring early enough. No, you have to start spending, and women do not have this. If you're looking at local governments like mine that are bigger than some states in the southwest, you would understand how difficult it is to run for office. So when you come out, women do want to support you, but they are not even seeing you. Your candidacy is not taken seriously enough. You do not have the funds to compete. So these are the issues within the party voting bloc. Let's look at PDP, where I used to belong to, right? When I went to run for office, I realized another thing. These positions that Iyom and Neni have fought for women delegates, let's say there are 28 women delegates right there, right? These 28 women delegates, among them, probably 5% are actually male seats.
All right,
that their husbands belong in, but they cannot own the seat, so they give a woman. So her vote doesn't even count. All right, these are all issues that affect women.
Okay, in the tell Nigeria,
it doesn't mean that women don't want to support, but there are many issues holding us.
Okay, we tell Nigerians where the conference is holding and who can participate quickly.
Well, the conference is holding tomorrow, 20th of July, is holding on AIT from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And we have Iyom Maneni, Aisha Osori, Honorable Stella Kotete, and a host of other young women, Rino Duala, so many young women coming up, women who have led movements in Nigeria, and we're trying to platform new voices. We're just calling on Nigerians. Tomorrow is a public holiday. You are at home. Please join us for this very important conversation. Thank you so much.
Ndi Kato, thank you so much. Thank you, and well done. That's Kakaaki, the African